Have you ever wondered how the Atlantic current influences the climate of the UK? This colossal river within the ocean, also known as the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, plays a crucial role in shaping the world's climate, particularly that of the United Kingdom. This current is part of a vast, complex system of oceanic currents, often referred to as the global conveyor belt. This network of currents functions like a giant heat distribution system, carrying warm water from the tropics to the poles and cold water back again. For the United Kingdom, nestled on the edge of the North Atlantic, this current is a lifeline. It brings warmth from the tropics, giving the UK its mild, temperate climate, even though it's on the same latitude as chilly parts of Canada. Imagine, if you will, the current's ceaseless flow halting. Without the Atlantic current, the UK could be a very different place. But how different? Let's delve deeper into this intriguing question. Let's dive deeper into the science of the Atlantic current. To truly understand the Atlantic current, we need to get acquainted with a key concept: thermohaline circulation. This term might sound a bit daunting, but it's just a fancy way of saying heat and salt-driven movement. Thermohaline circulation is like a global conveyor belt, moving massive volumes of water around the world's oceans. This process is driven by differences in temperature, or thermo, and salinity, or haline. These differences in heat and salt content create differences in water density, which sets the stage for the movement of water. In the Atlantic, the warm, salty water from the tropical regions moves northwards towards the Arctic. As it does so, it releases heat into the atmosphere, which influences the climate across the globe. But the journey doesn't end there. Once this water reaches the cold regions near the Arctic, it cools down and becomes denser due to the cold temperatures and increased salinity from the formation of sea ice. This cold, dense water then sinks to the depths of the ocean, making way for warmer waters to move in and replace it. This sinking of cold water and rising of warm water creates a continuous circulation of water, forming what we know as the Atlantic current. This process is a crucial cog in the Earth's climate machine. It distributes heat from the tropics to the polar regions, playing a vital role in maintaining the Earth's temperature balance. It also transports nutrients necessary for marine life and influences weather patterns around the globe. But what if this intricate system were to falter or even stop? The consequences would be far-reaching and potentially catastrophic, impacting everything from our climate to our ecosystems. The Atlantic current, with its complex science, is a crucial part of our global climate system. As we continue exploring its impacts on our world, remember that this massive moving body of water is not just an oceanic phenomenon, but a global one, impacting life as we know it on Earth. Imagine a UK without the warming influence of the Atlantic current. Difficult to picture, isn't it? Yet, scientists warn that such a scenario might not be as far-fetched as it seems. If the Atlantic current were to stop, the UK could face significant climate changes, ones that could dramatically alter life as we know it. First, let's talk about winters. The UK is known for its relatively mild winters, but without the Atlantic current, which acts like a colossal central heating system, things could take a chilly turn. Researchers predict that winters in the UK could become much colder, with temperatures potentially dropping by an average of 5 to 6 degrees Celsius. It's like moving the UK to the chilling climes of Canada. Next, we must consider the weather events. The Atlantic current plays a crucial role in regulating the UK's weather patterns. If it were to stop, the UK could witness more extreme weather events. Think storms, heavy snowfall, and gale force winds. The kind of weather that makes headlines and disrupts daily life. What about the rain, you ask? The UK is famous for its frequent drizzle, but without the Atlantic current, rainfall patterns could change drastically. Some areas might experience increased rainfall, leading to flooding, while others might face drought conditions. The balance of wet and dry could be thrown into disarray. Imagine the UK's gentle drizzle replaced by torrential downpours, or the absence of rain altogether. Picture the mild winters turning into icy seasons with temperatures akin to those experienced in Canada. Envision the calm weather giving way to extreme storms and gale force winds. That's the UK without the Atlantic current. The UK's familiar climate could turn into something much more extreme and unpredictable. A change that could have far-reaching consequences for not only the environment, but also the people who call the UK home. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? But it's not just about the weather. The Atlantic current also has a significant impact on the UK's biodiversity. You see, the Atlantic current doesn't just influence our climate, it also shapes our ecosystems, both in the ocean and on land. The current carries nutrients from the tropics to the colder northern waters. This nutrient transport supports a rich diversity of marine life, from phytoplankton, the very base of the ocean food chain, right up to the largest mammals like whales and seals. Now let's imagine if this current stops. The nutrient supply would dwindle, leading to a collapse in the marine food chain. A study from the University of Exeter found that such a scenario could result in a decrease in marine biodiversity, with species that rely on these nutrients struggling to survive. We could see a shift in species distribution, with some marine creatures moving north in search of food, while others might not be able to adapt at all. But it's not just marine life that would be affected. The effects would ripple onto land as well. The UK is home to countless species that depend on the climate conditions maintained by the Atlantic current. If the current stops, we could see drastic changes in our terrestrial ecosystems. For example, birds that rely on certain insects for food might find those insects aren't around anymore because those insects, in turn, rely on specific plants that can no longer survive in the altered climate. Dr. Sarah Perkins, an ecologist at the University of Cambridge, warns that the potential ecological changes could be profound, leading to a significant loss of biodiversity. This loss isn't just about numbers. Biodiversity plays a crucial role in ecosystem health, crop pollination, and even our mental well-being. The ripple effects of a stopped Atlantic current could reach far beyond just our weather patterns. And that's something we all need to understand and act upon. What would this mean for us, the people living in the UK? Let's delve into the potential human impact, starting with agriculture. The UK is known for its lush green landscapes, much of which is farmland. If the Atlantic current were to stop, the resulting colder climate could drastically affect the types of crops that can be grown. Traditional staples like wheat and barley might struggle, leading to a shift in farming practices or even a reliance on imports. This could, in turn, lead to higher food prices, affecting everyone's grocery bill. Then there's the issue of energy. With colder winters, the demand for heating would skyrocket. This could put a strain on the UK's energy grid, potentially leading to more frequent power outages. The increased demand could also drive up energy prices, making it more expensive to keep homes warm. This, coupled with potential job losses in sectors like agriculture and fisheries, could lead to an increase in poverty rates. And we can't forget about health risks. Cold weather is known to exacerbate certain health conditions, such as asthma and arthritis. The NHS could see a surge in patients needing treatment for these and other cold-related ailments. Mental health could also be affected, with studies linking long cold winters to increased rates of depression. The socioeconomic consequences of a stopped Atlantic current extend beyond just the physical environment. They touch on every aspect of life, from the food we eat to the jobs we do to the healthcare we need. And while it's impossible to predict exactly what would happen, studies indicate that the challenges would be significant. The changes wouldn't happen overnight, of course, but they would be gradual, giving us time to adapt and prepare. However, the longer we wait to address the underlying issue of climate change, the harder it will be to mitigate these potential impacts. The consequences of a stopped Atlantic current could be far-reaching and profound for the UK. We've seen how the stopping of the Atlantic current could drastically change the UK, but what can we do about it? Understanding the gravity of this situation, it's crucial that we raise awareness about climate change and its ripple effects. Just like the Atlantic current, our global climate system is interconnected. A shift in one area can trigger dramatic changes elsewhere. What's more, we need to invest in scientific research. This will help us better understand these complex dynamics and develop mitigation strategies. We must also strive to decrease our carbon footprint, as our actions directly impact the climate and, in turn, the Atlantic current. The global community needs to unite and act swiftly. Governments, businesses, individuals, we all have a role to play in combating climate change. By making conscious choices, we can help slow down the changes and potentially reverse some of the damage. While the future is uncertain, one thing is clear: our actions today can help shape a more sustainable and resilient tomorrow.